All right. I think we're live. I don't know. From what I'm seeing, the video is kind of messed up, but this is a whole new YouTube, I guess, 3 years later on the Red Zone Blitz. But how's it going, guys? It's been a while. Dave from Wake Up It's Football alongside of Ezra from Idiot Ezra. Originally we wanted to collaborate on doing something for Ezra's podcast, and I guess it turned into another episode of the Red Zone Blitz. So, there's a lot of time that has kind of spanned between our last episode and now. But Ezra, I gotta ask you, man, how's it going?
Well, currently today, I'm breathing and walking, which in today's climate, it's a very scary thought for a lot of people, and I'm doing good. And I hope you're doing safe, your family's doing, and everybody that's around dealing with the coronavirus. We know what the deal is, and I hope everyone's safe and keeping the distance. So me and Dave are actually doing this podcast, Red Zone Blitz, from, 2,000 miles away from each other. 6 feet's good. So stay your ass home, guys.
Yeah. No, I know you guys might have noticed also a different format or setup with the Red Zone Blitz. Google Hangouts, I guess, is no longer a thing via live YouTube. So we had to figure this out on OBS and kind of a whole new setup. So the show looks a little different. We're both on the same screen at the same time. I don't think Ezra can see me right now, but I can see him. So it's kind of goofy, but XKT in the I don't even know if I want to call it FanDuel comment box anymore, because YouTube took down my videos with FanDuel links. But XKT in the comment box says it took a quarantine to get y'all back on the Red Zone Blitz. Glad you guys are back. Shout out to Cubone, XKT, Nebraska dude. Some of the guys that are in the chat already. So I guess without further ado, let's talk some sports, man. It's been a minute. I know for the both of us, we haven't really kept up with the NFL draft. I know I haven't kept up with the draft for a couple of years now, but there's still talk about some of the guys that we can probably dive into, at least the top 10, and kind of see what a guy like maybe Todd McShay has to say in his latest mock. I don't know if you have the pulled up right now or not. But I don't think there's much of a question mark starting at number 1 with the Cincinnati Bengals with Joe Burrow. But then at number 2, there's a lot of speculation with the Washington Redskins in regards to whether they take Chase Young, the defensive end out of Ohio State, or do they potentially even look at a quarterback, which some people think that's asinine. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on, I guess, number 2, if we want to start there with the Washington Redskins?
Well, if everyone, by all accounts, all the draft experts are saying Chase Young is the best player in this draft, and last time I checked, that Redskins defense is not getting younger, and they don't have a premier pass rusher. Why don't you take the best player in the draft in Chase Young? And last time I checked, they drafted a quarterback pretty high last year in Haskins. Even though Jay Gruden didn't want him, ownership did. And hopefully this new coaching staff, that's led by Ron Rivera, which dealt with the same type of, I won't say running quarterback, because Haskins is a pocket passer, right? So he knows how to deal with a high drafted quarterback. He knows how to mold him, develop him. He did it with Cam Newton, and hopefully he has the trust of his young quarterback to go forward, and you pick up the pass rusher.
I think the question mark here is going to be Dwayne Haskins. They took him in the first round last year. On a lot of accounts, people were saying how Dwayne Haskins fell to the Redskins. They did not have to move up. They did not have to adjust in their draft. And really their quote-unquote guy fell to them, and how they had like an A-plus draft. We saw him play, I guess, kind of in the later half of the season for the Redskins. Some good, some bad, but I think people are still unsure of whether Haskins is the guy, even after year 1. That opens talks up for, let me see here. What are some of the guys, some of the lists for quarterbacks? Joe Burrow's probably going to get taken first overall, but then you got guys like Tua Tagovailoa, Jordan Love, Justin Herbert out of Oregon, Jake Fromm, but that's a name that's going to go later in the draft. Do you think the possibility of a quarterback is there for the Redskins, or is there maybe a team that jumps up to 2 for a quarterback like maybe a Justin Herbert. I don't know if that's too high or not, but and maybe the Redskins trade back a spot or two.
I was mentioning this in the last episode of my podcast, Idiot Ezra, and that was a cheap plug, that I think they should go the veteran route here. You know, you have a Cam Newton or a Jameis Winston available, and I think those guys can be slotted immediately as your starter. You know, I'm not the biggest believer in that you have to baby your quarterback. You know, you ruin their confidence by bringing in competition or a veteran presence. And I think Jameis Winston or Cam Newton would be the starter on this team. I don't know about drafting another, a second overall quarterback because you still got Alex Smith. I know this may go against my argument and what I'm saying, getting a veteran quarterback, but you're paying Alex Smith still big money. Now you invested a lot in a young QB last year, and now you're going to compile it with a second overall pick. I know the Redskins is a mess, but you got a new coach. You drafted a quarterback last year with high potential. Let it run, okay? Let this guy have a chance to learn the offense and have some continuity with this weapons, okay? So I think you stay put and go with Chase Young.
With Alex Smith, we don't even know if he's going to play again.
We doubt, but he's still on the payroll. That's what I'm saying. You have a lot of money invested in the cap and him, but we doubt he'll play again. It's just you're going to make up all your cap space to 3-4 quarterbacks. I don't think you want to do that.
Okay. A lot of people have Chase Young.
You think they should go quarterback? That's what it sounds like.
I brought it up because other people are thinking, but in my opinion, when I watched some of Haskins' tape last year coming out of Ohio State, I wasn't a big fan. So, in my opinion, can they find a better quarterback in the draft? I don't know. Why? Because I haven't watched the tape. I haven't watched tape on prospects for 3 years, so I can't say. I don't know. It's been a while.
So you're just with Jay Gruden. You're not feeling Haskins here.
No, I'm not really feeling Haskins as a quarterback. Now, let me put it to you in this perspective, okay? When we were on the Red Zone Blitz 7-8 years ago, talking about Andrew Luck and talking about RG3, you were a huge RG3 guy, okay? You can go back in the archives. You can go when he came out, when he was coming out. You liked RG3.
I was going to say, after that rookie, I wasn't feeling him,
I know. But when he was coming out, he's getting dry, and he had a very, very good rookie season. Now, RG3, he fell off the face of the planet after that rookie year, okay?
Yeah, I remember correctly, I called at one episode that I said he'll be off the team within 5 years.
Right. I remember you saying that. So that's what I'm getting at with Haskins. If it could happen to a guy like RG3 who was highly touted out of Baylor, and he was a guy who, showed so much potential, especially in his rookie year. He won Rookie of the Year. And then he's gone. He's done. And granted, that was due to injury. What can happen at Haskins? Same thing could happen.
Yes, the same thing could happen. But you can't think like that. You got a new regime in here. And not the ownership, but you got a new regime in here. You got a new executive at the top of the office. I think you got to roll with it. You got Chase Young. It's not like you're drafting a scrub here. You're picking the guy that everybody consensus-wise is saying is the best player in the draft. You can't go wrong. And after quarterback, what is the most important position in football? Probably it's either a lineman or a pass rusher.
Yeah, right.
So you can't go wrong here. You pick up Chase Young. They're talking about this guy is better than Joey Bosa, Nick Bosa is, and those guys are absolute beasts, and they've been the best pass rushers the last couple of years in the draft. If they're saying he's better than them, this is a no-brainer in a lot of ways.
Okay, so I mean, let's keep Chase Young there. At number 2 for the Redskins. I mean, I think
if you go quarterback, who are you going to pick up? Tua? Even though everybody was saying before he got hurt, he should have been the number 1 pick, and Tua has high potential. It's just with everything with today's climate that their medical staff can't examine these draft picks and pull up a full an examination. Are you willing to take that chance when you got Chase Young right there?
Right.
That's
And
another dynamic to this whole draft. There's going to be a lot of players that may go up or go down based on the evaluations that are the lack of evaluations and medical evaluations of all these players.
And that's a good point. I mean, this is a very unorthodox year for the NFL in regards to this coronavirus situation where the draft process is getting, I don't even know what a good word for it is getting dismantled at the moment. I mean, you can't really see these players in person. Is the draft, how are they even holding the draft now?
I don't think they've clearly announced it. I was reading to the EA Sports. Yes, the video game company wants to do a virtual Roger Goodell and these players come up and shake his hand because obviously they can't do it physically at the moment. So they want to do it virtually. I don't know if they're going to hold it. I've read there could be a potential conference call for the draft. I've read some ideas that they should have a draft for every night of each round, which I don't think it was going to happen. I think they're going to keep it to the same format. We just don't know how it's going to happen.
I thought that what you just said about like a virtual draft or whatever, I thought that was legitimate. I thought that was something that they were actually looking into doing. Because they're not doing it. How else are they going to do it?
XKT in the chat room saying draft is being in the studio and Goodell will still announce the picks. I imagine he's going to announce the picks from home.
Draft is being in the studio.
What some type of conference way?
What studio are we talking about? Like the NFL Network studio, or what do we? I don't know. I haven't looked into it, so I guess I have questions of my own. But
does that really matter right now? Like who? I don't care how they announcing. And it sucks for the players. It sucks for they won't be able to experience what the tradition has been, right? In a big stadium, the fans have been cheering them on, and you waiting in the green room, enjoying the couple days before the draft, being wined and dined, and getting your custom suit made, and meeting a lot of agents and people in the NFL. This is where you build formalities and the beginnings of relationships of your career in the NFL, and that sucks for the experience for the young player. But in the end, they'll get drafted, they'll get paid, and they'll have their teams assigned to before the year starts.
It is unfortunate for those guys. They're not really going to have that experience. I guess basing this off of the conversation, basing it off of Todd McShay's most recent mock, he has Jeff Okudah, the cornerback out of Ohio State. There's two Ohio State guys. Cornerback going to the Detroit Lions at number 3. And keeping in mind, they just traded Darius Slay to the Philadelphia Eagles. So
that's a need.
Yeah, yes. They're probably going to have a need in the secondary there. Isaiah Simmons, outside linebacker out of Clemson, going to the Giants at number 4 now. Being a Packer fan, I know that they just shored up the linebacking core a little bit with Blake Martinez and another linebacker from the Packers. I forgot which one it was who ended up leaving. But Todd has an outside linebacker there for the Giants at 4, and then Tua Tagovailoa at 5 to the Dolphins. There's your second quarterback. Is the Dolphins a team maybe?
Yeah, and even though they have Josh Rosen, you got to take a chance if you're the Dolphins to pick up another high touted quarterback in this draft. And like I said, he would have been the number 1 pick if it wasn't for injuries. And the Dolphins still haven't locked in on their franchise guy. I know Josh Rosen was a high pick 2 years ago. He hasn't really got a chance. I don't think he's really been given a chance. I really liked him coming out. But I have, if you're smart, you go with Tua. You got to go with Tua here if you're the Dolphins.
I'm not a huge Josh Rosen kid. I'm not a huge Josh Rosen fan. Because he looked like a kid coming out of the draft when his demeanor and the way he kind of approached the situation where he fell in the draft and got drafted later on. I think it was 2 years ago now. It just kind of rubbed me the wrong way, so I just haven't. And also watching the tape, I wasn't a huge fan. But Josh Rosen is there. Now, it's ironic because they gave up on a guy being Ryan Tannehill, who just did what? He just got paid with the Tennessee Titans. Huge contract.
Big money.
Do you think they messed up by letting him go?
Nah, I think, and sometimes you got to go with the fan base, right? Sometimes the fan base was probably a little long in the tooth for Ryan Tannehill, even though I don't. And he had an injury history. And overall, I don't think it was a mistake. They didn't have the team. He wasn't going to have the success with the Dolphins that he did with the Titans, because the Titans have talent. They have, playmakers. They have a defense. The Dolphins were in a complete 76ers Sam Hinkie disaster, tanking mode. That's what they wanted to do. They look like, at the beginning of the year, I got to give a lot of credit to Flores. They look like one of the worst teams in the history in the NFL. And towards the end of the year, they played hard and they won a few games. But their talent needs, in every phase of and every level of their team, needs to be upgraded. And they need young talent. So, he wasn't going to work out over there. And it was a good move for both sides to split up.
I mean, and really quick, I'm going to move to the Chargers at 6, but really quick for the Dolphins at 5, I think they were also interested in a guy like Melvin Gordon at running back. So they may be targeting a running back early on in the draft as well there, because I think they need one. Number 6 for the Chargers, Jordan Love, quarterback out of Utah State. There's your third quarterback. I mean, Todd McShay, has a thing for these 3 guys in the top 10, which might have something to say. And for me, I have to go and watch the tape. I'll give you my opinion. I'll throw it up on Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or whatever. I'll give you my opinion, but I have to watch the tape first.
I hear he's
Phillip Rivers is
a
gone.
little bit. He reminded me of like Big Ben a little bit, I guess. The little limited tape that I saw, maybe I'm way off. Maybe they'll tell me in the chat that I'm an idiot, which will be right about. But the point is, I saw a big arm, big physical quarterback, that moves around. I just saw a little of Big Ben and all that. And he can either go as high as this far in the draft or completely not get drafted in the first round. I hear he's this wild card quarterback right now. He's got a lovely name, though, Jordan Love.
Where the heck is... Okay, there it is. But, it's kind of surprising, no Phillip Rivers. He signs a 1-year deal with the Colts now, which I can see him finishing his career out in Indianapolis. I think he'll have a good season, and I think they'll re-sign him to maybe like another 1 to 2 year deal. And I can see him finishing his career as an Indianapolis Colt. I can definitely see that.
And I can see Andrew Luck coming back to the NFL. But that's something that's off a feeling. There's no reports. There's nothing to think about that.
That it's an interesting thing that you say that, because obviously he would come back to the NFL before the XFL. But the reason why the XFL is even in this conversation is because of his dad. I was like, oh, how crazy! Now this is out there. His dad being the commissioner of the XFL. His dad talks him into coming as an XFL quarterback. That would be something outrageous. But no, I think if Andrew Luck does come back to the NFL, it's on the basis of his competitiveness. Being away from the game for a year or two is going to be like, man, I miss the fire. I miss, waking up and grinding and being in the locker room with the guys and leading and winning football games. I miss it all, and I want to go back, and I still haven't. And he does. And I told you this before we started with the show. In the last 4 to 5 years, in my opinion, the biggest news out of the NFL at any point in time was Andrew Luck retiring. I think he was a quarterback in any which given season. He could have won a Super Bowl with his team. He has the talent. Unfortunately, that shoulder injury that he had suffered through, I don't know, however, 1 to 2 seasons, that it kind of held him back, may have been like a precursor or like something that ended up playing into his decision to retire. But I think that's probably the biggest story of me being off of YouTube, not being able to, be on YouTube and tell and give my opinion about it. And I'm doing that right now. Andrew Luck, by far, the biggest story in the last 4 or 5 years of retiring. Whether he comes back or not, it'll be interesting.
Well, I hope he does come back as a fan and for the league. I hope he gets that fire and he comes back. He's a really smart dude. We already, that's been established a long time ago. And I don't think he needs the money. So it depends really on the fire. And well, hopefully he misses that 30 million and he wants to come back. 30 million a year, because he signed a big deal too, very recently before he retired. And that'd be pretty cool. And I bet you Colts fans will like that too, because obviously Phillip Rivers not going to be there for much longer. 2 years max, if this year is a success.
All right, well, let's keep working down the list here. We'll go to about 10, 11, and we'll call it quits on this, because I know you got a couple questions with the Bears making a signing and a couple other things. Carolina Panthers, Derek Brown, defensive tackle out of Auburn. The Panthers have lost out on Gerald McCoy, Mario Addison, and Vernon Butler in free agency, so they might have, I'd say, a need there at D tackle. Number 8, Tristan Wirfs, offensive tackle out of Iowa. Number 9, Justin Herbert, QB out of Oregon. So now you got 4 quarterbacks in the top 10. And at number 10, Cleveland Browns, they got Jedrick Wills Jr., offensive tackle out of Alabama. So I guess out of those 4 picks, obviously we're going to head to Justin Herbert here to Jacksonville at number 9. Gardner Minshew, what do you think about him?
Seems like a very nice backup to have. That's what it seems like. Seems like a nice spark off the bench. A guy that you could put it for 2-3 games. Hold the fort. Is he a franchise guy? Hopefully he proves me wrong. But the initial, he was hot for a couple games and then it fizzled out. And that's not bad to have. You could be. There's a lot of quarterbacks that had careers in this league. Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Hot for 2-3 games and then it fizzles out, even though he's been on some pretty bad teams. And he hasn't been.
He's been on every team. What are you talking?
No, I'm talking about Gene. Gene is. I hope that it does come to life. He's a character. He's a fun guy. He's like the Joe Exotic of the NFL. If you watch Tiger King,
that's an interesting.
Maybe he's not much of a scumbag and the racist part, but he's just a funny character to look at and to watch. So hopefully he does grow to be a franchise guy, but I think he's a backup.
So Nick Foles' departure is going to be our segue into this next conversation. But Justin Herbert, they need a quarterback. Blake Bortles is long gone. They bring in Foles. He doesn't really do it for them. Gets hurt. They pay him big money. And then they trade him. And Gardner Minshew is really the only guy on the quarterback list right now on the roster that has really done anything for them. To my knowledge, I don't know. I haven't looked at their QB list. But then, bringing in a guy like Justin Herbert, young arm, QB competition, could be good. So I could see that at number 9 for them if he's available. But as for Nick Foles, Chicago Bears, it brings up a question, man. Did they give up on Mitchell Trubisky after only a handful of seasons? Not even a handful of seasons.
Well, the way I was just reading, the way they restructured Nick Foles' contract, he won't be getting. He's still going to get his $20 million guaranteed that's remaining. But the way they essentially worked his contract, he's getting a 3-year, $24 million deal. So his base salary is not much at all. So technically, I don't think by contract standards you're giving up on Mitch, but you're definitely sending a message. Now, do I think Nick Foles is the right guy to bring into the Bears? I know, on paper it looks good. Obviously, he led the Eagles to that memorable Super Bowl run. And their current head coach of the Bears, Matt Nagy, was also with the Eagles with Nick Foles. So they have this relationship already, and he should know the offense. but I don't know if he's the right move. He really hasn't displayed, besides that run with the Eagles, that he can really lead a team from week 1 till season's end. He hasn't displayed that in what, 8 years now? I don't know how many years Nick Foles has been in the league. I want to say 6 to 8 years. I don't remember. He just hasn't never displayed it.
Well, let me look it up real quick.
And there was another guy that I thought the Bears should have traded for last year and to push Mitch, and I think that's Andy Dalton. I think that was the move the Bears should have made last year. And if you were going to trade for a guy, maybe that was the guy they should have traded for once again in this offseason. Or, you know what? I keep pushing this. I pushed this on my last episode. Cam Newton, Jameis Winston's available. Well, especially Jameis Winston. I don't care if he threw 30 interceptions. Obviously, he needs to cut that. If he can cut that in half, this guy's a top 10 quarterback in the league. Now, do we expect that? Probably not. But either way, the man threw for 5,000 yards, 30 touchdowns. He's a starter in here. And there's about 5 to 6 teams that can use Jameis Winston as a starter. And guess what? The Bears are one of them. He's a starter on that team.
Yeah, I think Cam Newton still being available and Jameis Winston still being available is an interesting conversation. We'll get to that in a second, but with Nick Foles, let me pull up these. Okay, so he's been in the league since 2012. Now, something that some people might not know about Nick Foles. Okay, after his 3 years in Philadelphia, between his 2015-2016 season with the Rams and the Chiefs, I think it was in between those 2 seasons. So after the Rams, he was on that team for 1 year. He sat down, I think, with himself and really, he basically was like, I'm retiring. I don't want to play football anymore. Okay? This is a quarterback that does not want to play football anymore. And I think it was Andy Reid who may have called him up because he was his head coach, I believe, in Philadelphia. Calls him up, say, hey, I know you're feeling kind of funny about football right now, but I want you to be on our team. I want you to be a backup. I want you to take it easy on yourself. You don't have the pressure of being a starter. Just be the backup. Sit on the bench. Still be involved in football. And that's what ended up happening. He came back. Andy Reid talked him into it. He signs with the Chiefs for a season and then ends up going back to Philadelphia where he had that run and helped them win that Super Bowl. So it's been an interesting career so far for Nick Foles. Has it really only been one season with the Jaguars? It was just 1 year?
1 year.
Wow.
He won the Super Bowl. Then he got that, I think he backed up one more, and then he took that, and then the Jaguars gave him that big deal. 1 year. They gave up on him.
Wow. I don't know why I thought it was 2. That's how, out of it I've been with football. Yeah, no, this is definitely 100% the Matt Nagy rapport, connection, relationship, whatever you want to call it, that he has with Nick Foles. And that's why out of Dalton, Winston, Newton, he went with Foles. And what did they trade for him? Was it like a third? What was it? Fourth? Fifth? Well, I don't know.
A fourth.
A fourth?
A fourth round pick.
Okay. In my opinion, from what I know about Foles and what I've seen, I wouldn't have even given up a fourth. I wouldn't have given up a fifth. I wouldn't have signed him. I wouldn't have traded for him. I would have went somewhere else. I would have went Cam Newton. That's where I would have went if I was Chicago. I think Cam Newton is the best available quarterback right now, and probably the best available quarterback if he had been available. Say that again?
So you're saying Cam Newton's the best available quarterback in quite some time? I said you're saying Cam Newton's the best available quarterback in quite some time?
No, I'm talking
that
about
doesn't
just
include Tom Brady. Right? I don't know if you're breaking up or not.
I'm talking about just this offseason. I would have taken Cam Newton over Tom Brady.
Ooh, dropping bombs here. I would have took Winston over all of them. Winston's my guy. I'm going to Winston.
Winston.
That's right. I'm going Winston over Cam Newton. Cam Newton hasn't done it in 2 years. He hasn't won a game since 2018.
But Winston or Newton is a more dynamic player.
A healthy Cam Newton, for obviously that MVP year was special. He's in the red zone. This is the red zone blitz. That's one of the guys you want. One of the premier guys you want in the red zone. But he hasn't won a game. He hasn't been healthy. And can he be that same type of player that he was, going back 4 years now. We don't know that. And that's, 4 years is a long time since the last time you were the player that you could be.
Okay.
I'm going to Winston.
Well,
Younger guy.
I'll give you that.
5,000 yards. I'm going with him.
I'll give you that about Cam, but so then if you're the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, if Ezra's the head coach, he's saying, I don't need Tom Brady. I'm re-signing Winston right now.
Yeah, I am. Yes,
Okay.
I am. A 27-year-old, obviously when it comes to the Tampa Bay, I was saying this the other day. Bruce Arians, he likes to go vertical. That wasn't really Tom Brady's game. He's not a vertical, let me go down the field all the time type of guy. Let me be aggressive. Obviously, they likes to work in the middle. They're going to have to tailor the offense a bit for Tom Brady. I know everybody's saying, well, when it comes to the Tampa Bay coaching staff, Tom Brady hasn't lost anything. Even if he never lost anything, he was never that type of quarterback, or he never showed to be that type of quarterback. Maybe he'll prove me wrong. But I would have kept Jameis Winston myself too. And I think he's the best available starter today. And I don't know what the hell the Chargers are doing, the Jaguars are doing, the Redskins, even the Browns. I whisper the Browns, even the Browns. There's a lot of teams that can use Winston.
I don't know about Cleveland, man. I think they're good with their guy in Mayfield, but I want to give a shout out to these guys because it's been 3 or 4 years since we've been on, and we still have Cubone, XKT, Bob Money, Tomahawk. We still have all these guys who were with us then, and guess we randomly come on live randomly, and they're still here.
I hope they're home. I hope you guys are practicing that social distancing and staying quarantined at home. But you got to give them respect. These guys probably won multiple MVPs during our time during the Red Zone Blitz. These guys are legends, and I'm always thankful when they're in the chat and everything.
Well, I'm gonna even say this. I know we had some sort of probably competitions about top commenters or top people who'd and hey, look here, Andrew Kim, he's he was also in the chats back in the Red Zone Blitz days as well. So these guys are the MVPs. Ezra and we're not the MVPs. You guys, because we're gonna sit here and talk to each other, like we can do that over the phone, you know what I'm saying? But the fact that we have a community or a group of guys that we can talk to in the comments section is what we also enjoy. So with that being said, we can get to some of your guys' comments about, what's been talked about so far. Cubone saying that Minshew's a solid starter, but he will need more weapons. And Herbert is Blaine Gabbert 2.0.
Blaine Gabbert's still in the league. Can you believe that? I think he just signed on with somebody else. He's
just going to be a lifetime backup. That's really all he's doing.
He doesn't even deserve that, to be honest. He's a bum.
Yeah. Tomahawk says Andrew Thomas is a beast. Somebody's going to get a crazy steal with that, with all these QB reaches. And we've seen that in a lot of drafts over the years. I think most notably, there's been some drafts like 2012. You had Andrew Luck and RG3 in those drafts, but then you had, who were some of the quarterbacks that went in that? It was Christian Ponder, Jake Locker, Blaine Gabbert. Those guys also went in that top 12-ish range, and
I used to like Jake Locker. I thought he would have been a solid quarterback in this league, but he retired real early.
Let me tell you,
he retired. He wasn't forced out. He wasn't released. He retired.
Well, let me
injury.
Let me ask you this. This is 8 years later. Okay, eight drafts later, because it was in 2012. Would you believe it if I told you that in 8 years, those 5 guys will no longer be in the league?
Oh, that probably happened. If you go back to a lot of drafts, that probably happens in most of them.
I'm talking about Andrew Luck, though, in that same conversation.
Well, Andrew, that he retired. If you think about it, the trend of young star, actually, it hasn't been at quarterback. That's what makes it so surprising. But we had a star linebacker retire. You have multiple star linebackers retire. Offensive linemen. You had different positions retire because of CTE or injuries or the awareness of these young athletes saying, hey, I'm putting body over money or maybe my passions over the league. I think that's been definitely an uptrend over the last couple of years. And Andrew Luck it's just a spotlight on him because quarterback always gets the spotlight. And he was a premier guy. He's a top 5 guy when he retired.
I just want to correct myself. RG3's still in the league. He's backing up in Baltimore. I forgot about that, so I just want to correct that. But reading some more of these comments, Bob Money, Cam has injury problems and it's not helping him get on a team at the moment. Nebraska dude 74. Oh my goodness, I can't believe you guys are back. We're back. We're doing a show right now. So yeah, we're on the Red Zone Blitz. But I don't want to give credit to the Red Zone Blitz. I want to give credit to Ezra's podcast, Idiot Ezra, because originally this was just a podcast conversation that me and him had. I just wanted to, hop on his podcast, call in or say, hey, how's it going? Like, hey, let's talk some football for a couple minutes. But I guess it turned into a Red Zone Blitz episode. But shout out to Ezra. Shout out to his podcast, Idiot Ezra Podcast. As if you want to kind of just drop where they can find you at.
Well, if you want to check out the podcast, Idiot Ezra Podcast, it's on Apple, Spotify. And if you really want to stay updated, I'll also be live streaming the podcast or in some gaming content because I'm all about that Warzone right now. It's on facebook.com/Idiot Ezra. Yes, I skipped Twitch, Mixer, and YouTube. I went to Facebook. Don't kill me for that. I don't know if there's any Facebook users. Probably not, because you're probably avoiding your families, which I do too. That's why I got the page at Idiot Ezra, live streaming the podcast, gaming, highlights, and conversations. That's the main hub for my content, and hopefully you guys will come on down.
Tom Hawk says when you see a new Red Zone Blitz video, you click. Appreciate it, Tom Hawk. That's awesome.
And once the NFL season's going along, I don't care if you're not doing YouTube, you're not doing Wake Up It's Football, I will be having Dave on the podcast to have more NFL discussions. Even though we've stopped with the YouTube, that doesn't mean we stop being fans of the NFL. We want to talk about the NFL because that's the passion that we have for the sport and to deliver some type of content for you guys. So I'll be definitely pulling Dave out like, hey, let's talk some football. And I know he will be, especially when he starts seeing Aaron Rodgers and his Packers playing again. That blood will be boiling.
Yeah, no doubt. I do have a comment about the Packers I'll get to in a second for this prior season that they had. But, the passion that I had for YouTube and all that, I kind of dropped a video, I don't know, maybe a week ago or so about it. And it just kind of explained my situation with YouTube and football and all that. But, maybe I can bring that back and bring back what I used to have and how I used to feel. But reading a couple comments, get to the Packers, and then we'll move on. Gabbert signed with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so he's backing up your boy Tom Brady. Which, actually, let me ask you, how does it feel that Tom Brady is no longer in the AFC East for the last, what has been 20 years? He's not there anymore, man, you must have been jumping up and down.
No, I was pissed off, actually.
Why?
I was saying this. Why? Because first of all, I'm a Jets fan, if anyone doesn't know, but everyone knows I'm a sad Jets fan. We started Tom Brady's career. We hurt Drew Bledsoe. I was watching that game. We hurt Drew Bledsoe. Tom Brady came in, and we know the rest is history. The reason I'm pissed off that he left, I wanted to be the ones to end him. Okay? Now we won't get a 21st opportunity, okay, to try to end the reign of this darkness of Bill Belichick and Tom Brady together. Now he's gone to another conference, to another team. He ended the terror on his own accord, and we weren't able to stop it. I wanted to be the ones to take it away from him, and now we won't get that chance again because we had 20 chances to do it, and since we sucked for 20 years and couldn't stop the reign of this empire, he gets to enjoy his money. He gets to enjoy the sunset, the sunshine, and my Jets, still suck.
How many seasons has it been that Jimmy Garoppolo has been a Niner? Was it 2? Has it been 2, right?
What, three? I would say three.
I think it
I
was.
want
I
to
think
say
it's been
three.
two. I think it was two because the first season he
No,
got
but he
hurt.
got the first season. No, he won. They ended the year on a 5-0 streak. The next year he got hurt for the whole year, and
Oh,
this
it was
past
okay.
year, so
Okay.
3 years.
Okay. Well, 2.5.
So 2.5 years.
Okay. So because
But
my mind went to Tom Brady leaves the team, and it's been speculated for the last couple of seasons what the heck is going to happen between him and Belichick. Tom Brady departs. He didn't get the money he wanted. I think that was more of a Bill Belichick decision. That was not a Robert Kraft decision. The one decision that was a Robert Kraft decision would have been Jimmy Garoppolo being traded.
no, no, Rob. I think the first time around, Bill Belichick wanted Jimmy to stay. Then I think it was a Robert Kraft decision to keep Tom Brady that first time around.
That's
This
what
time
that's what I'm
around,
saying. So
well,
so as a
do you think
result,
they were wrong? I
Garoppolo
think it
got
was the right move to make. I think Robert Kraft made the right move because guess what? You already know this. They won a Super Bowl after that move.
yeah, you're right.
So it worked out. You won a Super Bowl. You can't fault him for not keeping Jimmy. Robert came in, said no, we're going to keep Tom Brady, and they won a Super Bowl. So it was the right move in the end. We don't know if they would have won it with Jimmy. Now, going forward, right now we're talking about it because now, if you think about the Patriots have Brian Hoyer as their quarterback, you know, so it doesn't look good today. And Jimmy just came from the Super Bowl this prior season. So, if you're thinking about just recent history, it doesn't look like a good decision. Maybe you want to question it, but they won a Super Bowl, so I have no problem with the timing of it by Robert Kraft's decision.
I'm just curious to see what now, like the direction Bill Belichick takes without Brady, and I don't think you can ever count them out as long as
I think he's got three options waiting for him. I think he's got Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, and Andy Dalton, which I mentioned earlier in the show. I think Andy Dalton. See, I think Andy Dalton would probably be the number one Bill Belichick guy available right now.
you don't think he wants a potentially mobile guy like Newton.
No, I don't.
That's not really the offense that they run.
Bill Belichick, I think he works with he'll change his offense depending on whatever quarterback he has. That's the thing about Bill Belichick. That's what makes him so great. He's a chameleon. He's willing to change. He's willing to change his offense, defense, etc. to fit the player and the system. So whatever he thinks is probably a good deal, that's going to work for the team, cap friendly wise. I think he'll work with. And we'll see after the draft. I think that's what he's probably waiting for after the draft, what decision to make. If he finds a quarterback that he really trusts and believes in, I think he'll stick with that. If not, he'll move on to a veteran.
Yeah, I think chameleon is probably the best word you can use with Bill Belichick. I think no matter what season he's been in, he's just always finding different guys to step up and play different roles. So definitely think that's probably one of the best words you can use when you describe Bill Belichick.
I think he's a cheater, right? That's my number one word I would describe him.
He steps as close and even over that line sometimes.
He's my Carol Baskin, okay? Bill Belichick is my Carol Baskin. That's all you need to know. He's my Carol Baskin. He did it. Look under. Look where the skeletons are buried. You'll find them.
Wow. I know I wanted to chime in about the Packers, actually. They got in as the 2 seed in the NFC playoff picture this year, but I honestly think they might have been the worst 13-3 team I've ever seen this last season.
It's funny that you say that. I wasn't on this bandwagon, but everybody was saying that about your Packers last year, and that was pissing me off.
Okay, well, that's kind of funny because I agree with it. So why do you disagree with it?
I don't. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a big tuna guy all the way. I'm a Bill Parcells guy. He used to always say, "You are what your record says." Okay. And the worst 13-3 team in history. And when you have Aaron Rodgers on your team, they were going through some changes last year. They got a new coach. They went more of a run offensive team. I know the defense was never been, stellar, but I didn't think they were the worst. And towards the end of that NFC Championship, the second half, they really showed up. I know they got crushed in the first half, and that's why it was an uphill battle throughout. But I didn't think they were the worst 13-3 team.
I don't even want to.
Look at the Patriots. The Patriots could not score anything, and I don't want to blame it on the weapons because I'm not on that bandwagon either. Okay, that when you have a first-round pick, Julian Edelman, who's always been productive, you traded for a second wide receiver and Sanu, right? Sanu, and he was always been productive in this league, and all of a sudden now he can't get separation. So I thought that was another exaggeration by the media. Coming up with excuses for those cheaters.
The way we the way we won certain games, the Packers, they beat the Redskins in Week 14, 20-15. This is an absolutely ugly win. This was a horrible, horrendous Washington Redskins team, and they could barely beat them. There was games like against the Lions, last game of the season, to clinch a first-round bye. Could barely do it. Had to do it with the Mason Crosby field goal to end the game. And then that just absolutely ugly, disgusting, absolutely embarrassing game against the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. Because they got their ass kicked in Week 12, 37-8.
Mm-hmm.
And I told everybody, listen, they got embarrassed. Headed to San Francisco and lost like that. They're not going to do it again.
I was just going to say they're a finesse team, and they just, when it comes to physicality, that's where their weaknesses seem like. They just got beat up in a lot of phases of their game. So I think they need to get they need to get more physical this offseason and get some mean guys in there, because I think that was their problem, and it showed obviously against the 49ers, who's probably the most physical team in the league.
It just, I don't know, man. It still bothers me the way that the preparation. It's almost like they showed up to collect a paycheck and just be like lay an egg and be like, all right, just give it to them. Let's go home.
They went to the NFC Championship. Come on, how bad can you be?
I almost rather them not even be there. The way they played.
Well, that's royalty talking for you right there. That's the privilege talking to you right there. Okay, I'm a Jets fan. Give me an AFC Championship crushing loss. Okay, give me that.
Man, it's been.
We haven't made the
Jets.
I think missed the playoffs 7 years straight. I don't know how many years straight. I don't even want to think about it. Okay,
it's been a while.
And the reason Tom Brady left is because he knows that Sam Darnold reign is coming soon. Okay, he saw the storm. And once it reaches, it's all over. Sam Darnold's going to end with a couple MVPs and championships.
You think so?
I'm lying to myself here, but I'm hoping.
Is that your fandom talking, or?
Definitely that's my fandom talking. But one thing he's possibly the best quarterback in AFC East right now. I do like Josh Allen. That's why I said possibly. A lot of people might say Josh Allen or Sam Darnold.
Josh Allen has surprised me a little bit in Buffalo. He's been a guy who I didn't have very high on the radar, and then all of a sudden, the thing I underestimated about him when you watch his tape coming out of college is his legs. And the way that he can actually be mobile, pick up yards on the ground, and that's something that I didn't take into account.
He picks up a lot of yards on the ground.
Right.
He finds ways to win. He is like Cam Newton light in a sense. Am I right? Or he's a big physical. Josh Allen was 6'5", 6'4". He's a big dude, and he's very mobile. And when he gets in the red zone, when he's in within 5 yards, he's deadly. He obviously needs to get better. With throwing the ball, and he didn't have a lot of playmakers. John Brown is his number one wide receiver. I like Josh Allen a lot. I really do. I hope he doesn't progress too much, because I need the Jets to do something. But he really has surprised, and I think he's Cam Newton-like.
I was thinking, who is the best quarterback in that division? The Jets don't really have anybody. I mean, 2 drafts ago, it was those 3 guys. It was Rosen, Allen, and your boy
Sam Darnold.
Sam Darnold. some of the top some of the top quarterbacks in that draft that are all in that division now. So you got to think the last team on that list at the moment is the Patriots, as odd as that is to say.
As of today, because we never know what can change. We don't know what can change in the next couple of months. As of today, the Patriots have the worst quarterback in the AFC East.
What if we slotted in a guy like, I don't know, Winston or Cam Newton?
To the Patriots?
Yeah.
Well, if you put Winston, I think he would be the best quarterback in the division. Cam, he could potentially be the best quarterback because, he just needs to show he's healthy, right? That's the thing. If he can be the same player that he was a couple years ago.
Well, let's not forget.
That's the big question mark with Cam.
No, I was gonna say with the Bills with Josh Allen, he led them to the playoffs this year, and that's not something the Bills do often is make the playoffs.
They got a good offensive line. I like Singletary a lot. When he touches the ball, he's a big play guy. Their defense is physical. I think they were when they're a top 5 defense, I believe, the Bills, and they're physical. The Bills have it together. They have it together. And last time I checked, I think it was 2 surprising things. I think when it came to Vegas odds, the Chiefs were number 1, the Ravens were number 2. Forgot who was number 3, but the Patriots was still in the top 5, and I think number 6 or 7 was the Bills. Which I'm gonna check right.
Cubone also says that let's keep in mind Stephon Diggs is now there. Did you mention that? I don't know if you did.
Oh no, I didn't mention that at all. But oh yeah, the 49ers must have been up there. The Diggs, yeah, but I think he's I like Diggs, even though he rubs me the wrong way with all his little divaness going on. But like I said, John Brown had a nice year with Josh Allen. I think Diggs is the same type of wide receiver that works well with a Josh Allen. Big arm, likes to go vertical, use that speed, and you got the right quarterback for that. Do I think he's going to end up with 1,400 yards? No, but I think he's the perfect type of piece that goes along with the Bills in this offense and the quarterback they have. So I really like the move, even though they gave up a lot more for Diggs than what DeAndre Hopkins got traded for, but got no problem with it. I think he's the right move.
We haven't even talked about that. We haven't even brought that up. I think let's run this show for an hour. Let's run 8 more minutes. It's been a red zone blitz that's kind of come out of nowhere. So let's kind of get back into the groove of things. Let's cut it off at about 7 more minutes. But I mean, if we want to end it with maybe a DeAndre Hopkins, you know what, Ezra, go find your boot. You know why?
Bring it back. Get the boot. Who you gonna give a boot to Bill O'Brien?
Give the boot to Bill O'Brien.
I'm not gonna get the boot. What I need to do, even during these times, during the coronavirus times, I need to give Texans fans a hug. I need to bring out my arms and my love, because this is who you're stuck with, Bill O'Brien, making these kind of moves as your general manager. They need a hug. The Texans fans are suffering right now. Okay, you got a superstar in Watson, and you got a general manager making stupid moves like this.
He's a head coach. Go find a general manager.
They need a hug. These guys. If you're a Texans fan, please.
Because he wanted more money, he said, "Nah, I'm going to trade you.
I'm going to trade you for a running back that was a backup making $11 million."
Look,
cool.
Look, we've had this debate or this conversation before on the Red Zone Blitz about wide receivers top 5 wide receivers. How many teams have gone to the Super Bowl and have had a top 5 wide receiver? Has that not been a conversation before?
Yeah, I've said that before. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right?
We've definitely spoke about that.
The only thing that I can think of to even remotely justify this trade on Bill O'Brien's part is 2 things. I actually mentioned this to Glass from Get With It Sports.
But I think the Chiefs broke that mold a little bit last year. Tyreek Hill, I think, is a top 5 wide receiver.
And that's what I told him too. I said, who's the last potential top 5 wide receiver that we've seen in the last 10, 15 years? It's probably Tyreek Hill. Because if you look back on the list, you're really not going to pick too many names that are better than Tyreek Hill right now.
Tyreek Hill. Oh my God.
So, it's that whole
Yeah, I would
conversation.
go.
Sorry. It's that whole conversation, but maybe
I'm
he thinks that he can resurrect David Johnson's career. I don't know. Whether that's possible or not, I don't know.
besides. I don't know if you want. It's 2016. I was gonna say maybe Demaryius Thomas in 2016 with the Broncos.
I
Maybe
think
that's besides Tyreek Hill.
he might have been on the back end of his career at that point. I think.
Maybe. I don't remember his stats in 2016, but I'm just trying to think of top 5 guys or top, just big time wide receivers. That's where I think that was the real conversation that we've had about that. But you don't trade Hopkins. Come on, this guy, he's a franchise. He's the guy that led your team after Andre Johnson. He was your friend. Hopkins was your franchise guy until Watson got there. And I think he deserved a little bit more respect. Like he deserved the same treatment that Larry Fitzgerald gets with the Cardinals.
It's arguable that Hopkins was still maybe even a bigger face than Watson is for that team. I think it's arguable.
Yep.
So
I think he deserved that stop. I think you should have kept these two for a lot longer. But hey, now you got it's funny how he got drafted to replace Andre Johnson, who was the franchise guy of the Texans. Now he's going to replace, after Larry Fitzgerald retires, as the franchise guy of the Cardinals. So it's funny. He's always filling the shoes of big time Hall of Fame wide receivers. Yeah. And Hopkins is going to be a Hall of Famer himself too.
Tell you, Kyler Murray was probably I know he's only 5'9", but he was probably jumping up to the ceiling when he heard they traded for Hopkins. Bill O'Brien, the mistake that franchise has made is the fact that they did not hire a general manager. I think, in my opinion, they need somebody who is gonna manage that team and let Bill O'Brien just be a head coach. I don't understand.
My boy came up with a very, very good interesting point. And the last podcast, my boy Joel Rodriguez, we were talking about this situation and that they need to. He's arguing the way that his wife taking over. Maybe her understanding of football is not there, and she probably has a relationship with Bill O'Brien, and just gave him the power to let him run the organization until they figure out what they're thinking about. He has the power and the air of the owner going on right now, and then he controls the structure of it. And he was also bringing up a point saying if he's Watson, maybe he should think about saying, I don't want to resign with you guys as if Bill O'Brien is going to be the general manager going forward. That he should hold him hostage. If you got a franchise tag me, but I'm not going to resign here. So, and obviously, let's say Watson goes in the market. What wouldn't you give up for him? What wouldn't you give up for a guy at quarterback, Watson? You will give up 4 or 5 first-round picks, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't give up no 4 or 5 first-round picks, but I would, Well, here's the thing. If he's hitting the market, you're not trading for him. You're signing him.
No, I'm talking about, let's say he tells them, I don't want to resign with you guys. Mm-hmm. And Bill O'Brien says, you know what? All right, we're going to throw you up in the trade market. There'll be a huge bidding war for... What was the last time there was a quarterback at this young, at this caliber being available? I can't think of one. On the trading block, right, it doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen.
Well, I don't know where these rumors are coming from about.
It's no rumors. It's just my.
No.
My boy came up with this point.
No. Is the whole Watson will play one more year with Houston and then he'll end up being a Patriot after this season.
I didn't hear about that rumor.
I don't know where that's coming from, but you better you just talked him up. You better hope that doesn't happen for the sake of your Jets.
Well, you're damn right. No, I don't care. I always say I don't care about what another franchise does. It's my Jets that failed themselves. Okay, I don't care if Tom Brady was on the Patriots. I was mad that he left the Patriots. I don't care if they get Watson. It's the Jets. It's up to them to build a team and become the force. You shouldn't worry about what another team does. So I've never been that type of fan or component to me to bother me what another team does. Even if they get, like these quote unquote super teams, if they become an NFL equivalent to a super team, I don't care. The Jets got to put it together.
Well, that's Ezra's 2 cents on the Jets, our 2 cents on a lot of things that we haven't been able to really talk about. Get out there. It's been a while for the Red Zone Blitz. I think we're gonna cut this one at about an hour today. We appreciate everybody in the comment section. XKT, the Cubone, Tomahawk, Andrew Kim, anybody else who I've missed in the chat. Dre the Great. I know we had Nebraska. Jason, Faye, anybody else who I missed, thanks for commenting, guys. Thanks for still being here. It's kind of crazy to see that after 3 or 4 years, you guys are still here with us. So that's awesome. We appreciate it. And again, shout out to Ezra. Shout out to his Idiot Ezra podcast. Again, where can they catch your podcast at?
You can catch the Idiot Ezra podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and like I said, the main hub where you can also listen to the live podcast or the link to the podcast, live gaming streams, is at facebook.com/Idiot Ezra. So come on down and, we'll continue together, push David to do more content here on the podcast and on the YouTube channel going forward.
Yeah, I hope I can stay on and keep doing what I'm doing. I mean, like right now, there's a lot of downtime. I'm working from home with this whole Corona thing. Another thing I haven't mentioned to you guys or have said to you guys, please stay safe. Do your part. If that means you can't see some family for a couple extra weeks, just do that because right now is these next 2 weeks are going to be critical. Especially, I guess there's going to be a lot more deaths supposedly out there, and as grim as that sounds, it's the reality that we're living in. So just kind of do your part, stay home, and keep your distance from people. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we can do maybe some more Red Zone Blitzes. Maybe I can jump on your podcast here and there. As definitely been a while, definitely miss doing it, but I'll see if I can get into the groove of things again. But appreciate the love from you guys. Thanks for taking your time. Hopefully we can get this put up on your podcast where you guys can listen to on Spotify, Apple, all that good stuff. But I think that's all we got for you guys. I gotta figure out how to stop this stream.
You forgot to do. Damn, it's been that long.
It's a whole new setup. So
to stop it.
I think I'm about to stop it. Let's see here. End stream. All right, guys, take it easy. Thanks for joining us. We're out.